Hi, y'all.
Hey.
You're doing exactly what I hope you would do, which is do network, get to know each other. We're going to spend some time talking about building a team and building a board. Now, I want to get again an understanding of where you guys are in the process of building your business, so I understand how to shape the discussion around team building. Where are you right now? You're on your own.
Yes. Well, I have two co-owners and then no employees.
No employees, but they're co-owners. We'll talk about the danger of that.
Pretty much a family business, but I'm the only one on the shop.
Okay.
About to run it.
Are you using other people's money? Like your family's money? Okay, there's a danger in that too.
My team.
Yeah.
I have a small team of about.
You have people that are on your team?
Yes.
Okay. I will come back to that.
I have one contract person working with me.
All right.
One other owner, one other employee, and about half a dozen free labor.
Okay. Free labor is really good until it isn't.
Yeah.
I'm about to intern at a startup, so just trying to broaden my knowledge.
Okay. You're interning at a startup, so you're becoming free labor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Family business at
Family business of 3?
I do all
Okay, so are you the boss or are
the mother is always the boss.
the mother?
You said right.
Who gets to make the decisions?
I do.
You make the
With
decision, but she's the
respect,
boss.
yes.
Okay.
I have a co-founder and some free labor internships and then contract.
Okay.
I'm the founder, I'm the free labor. I've got an intern, and most of my folks that work with me are contracted.
Okay.
Same, I'm the founder, and I outsource certain projects.
Okay.
Like the real estate deal, it's supposed to be like a family business, but conflict, I'm the head, and she wants to run the show.
And you're sitting at the same, should we change seating? Okay. So in talking about building teams, and I'm going to assume that all of you are in very early stages. So we're going to talk about a couple elements around teams, and then I'm going to switch to boards. Because boards are a whole different other element. First of all, when is the right time to add somebody to your organization?
When you are forced to, when there's a reason, strategic reason or different.
There's a strategic reason for doing that. You're forced to.
Yes.
What brings you to the point that you're forced to?
When you're not capable of doing something, I'm supposed to, or you're not experiencing something, and.
So it's a skill requirement.
Right.
Okay? Somebody keeping track of this? So you've gotten to the point where you can't do it yourself. You need additional skills, or you need additional arms and legs. Right? That's the point when you do it. Right?
I would also say investors don't want a single person company. They want to know that if something happens to you as the entrepreneur, the business can continue to go on.
You get a name. Okay? As an investor, one of the things that scares the heck out of me is a single person employee, a single person company. Don't want to do that because there are no systems. Everything exists in that person's head. So you will not catch me investing a dime in a company that is just a single person at all. I'm looking for employees, systems in the organization before I will invest any money. Okay? So I heard before, I add employees when I have to. I can't do it anymore myself. I need skill sets. I need additional arms and legs. I have to get to the point where, I just can't do it anymore. Is that the right answer? Right answer or wrong?
Right.
Well,
Wrong answer.
Yeah, I also think you need people who are smarter than you, who know more than you do.
Okay. You must have been to my class before.
I am not, but I am a Campbell, so that might have to do.
So what I'm saying to you here is the people who build the most successful businesses do not get to the point where they just can't stand it anymore and then they hire a person. Because this is what happens when you do that. I am working 27 hours a day. I am, this is my passion, my life, and everything else. And I hire this young person to come on and bring him on board, what's my expectations of that person?
So take some hours off, pick up some.
No, he's gonna work 27 hours just like me. Okay? He's gonna work 27 hours just like me. He's gonna think like me. He or she's going to be at the office before, the sun comes up, leaves the office, is available to me, at 1 o'clock in the morning, because that's how I do it. That's called one of the worst things you can do when you're trying to build a business, because very rarely will you find anybody that will put into the business the same amount of energy that you put into that business. When you are bringing somebody on board, what's the difference between an employee and a partner?
Employees are doing the work, a partner is investing.
Okay, so an employee is doing the work and a partner is investing. They may be investing money, or they may be investing sweat equity, or they may be investing knowledge into the business. So when you're building out your team, you first have to be cognizant of what kind of person are you bringing on? Am I bringing on an employee, or am I bringing on a partner? Very often we get those two confused. Partners will work 24/7 with you. Partners will invest money. Partners will skip vacations with their family to make sure that they're building out the business. Partners will be with you, in the emergency when you're trying to, figure out something that's not working in the business. At 5 o'clock, they don't go home. They're going to stick with you at 11, 1 o'clock, whatever it is. There's a big difference between a partner and an employee. How do you know which one to recruit? You don't know.
That's why I'm doing it.
Okay? Tell me more about your business. We're going to determine whether he should be bringing on an employee or a partner. Tell me about your business.
It's a real estate, short-term rental business. We have about 5 Airbnb units, 1 home that's under a mortgage, and just continuously scaling that and just possibly diversing into others businesses.
So what do you need? Do you need more labor? Do you need more skills? Do you need more arms and legs? Do you need somebody that's going to bring capital? What do you need?
You always need capital. I think having capital would allow me to use other people's money to possibly put 20%.
Oh, but wait a second. Wait a second. You're going to have me come into your business, give you my capital, and you're going to consider me other people's money. Is that going to work?
No.
Okay. Let's try that again.
I need capital to continue to scale the
Mhm.
Airbnb business.
So what does scale mean? Do I need more employees?
Need more units.
You need more units.
I don't necessarily need more employees, because once a rental is set up, it's just working itself.
Mhm.
When someone
So does he need an employee or does he need a partner?
So he just needs more capital.
He needs more capital. And with more capital, what's he going to do with it?
He's gonna buy more units, more property.
Okay, and what's he going to need?
He's gonna need to issue shares. I mean, you could get a partner if you wanted someone to invest money so they have vested interest. I guess you would end up with a partner, but
Okay.
it doesn't sound like you necessarily need that.
If he had a partner, does he need an active partner or a silent partner?
Sound upon a private investor, some private money or funding or something.
It depends on his, I'll say, aggressive or not aggressive growth profile.
Okay.
If he found somebody who had a lot of knowledge about real estate and access to short-term units, but didn't really have a business or didn't want to start one, and he wanted to be an active partner and bring capital, and there wasn't a lot of cost of capital associated with it, he was looking for long-term growth, sounds like he'd be a great partner.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if he wants to run it, management, do everything himself, and, secure all the equity and have the value, maybe he needs a mortgage broker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's got assets he can mortgage or something.
So let's remember what his situation is. He's in the business. You have partners, your family, right? Okay. Your family active in the business? Are they silent partners?
They're solid partners.
Okay. What are their expectations in this business?
Money comes in.
Oh, so they're just looking to make sure that
Expect you to make
cash comes in. You do whatever you're gonna do, and as long as the cash comes in, we don't care. Have they put money in the business?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Do they have certain expectations in terms of time and when that money's gonna get paid back or some return?
They do.
Okay. And it's on you.
Yes.
Okay. Do they act as your board of directors?
Yes.
Okay. Do they ask you about what strategies you put into place?
Yes.
Do you meet with them frequently?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So imagine if I'm an outside person coming into this business as a partner, who am I working with? Him or his family? Okay. Should I know that before I become a partner?
Yes.
Okay. Is he looking for a partner, guys?
No, I don't think so.
Is he looking for a silent partner?
Source of funding?
He's looking for a source of funding. Does he need a partner to do that?
No.
No.
Okay. Does he need employees
He
potentially?
does, yeah.
Okay.
People.
Potentially. So, what are the skill sets that you're good at?
Strategy,
Mhm.
financial planning, marketing. I
Are
have to
you
be good at every
are you
skill set.
renovating this real estate?
No.
You're buying real estate and renting it? What are you doing?
Well, I bought one property. I lease 5 units and short-term
Okay.
rentals.
So at some point you're going to need a property manager.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Employee or partner? Okay. Important that you make the distinction between partner and employee as you're thinking about building a team. We've identified a skill set that he's going to need. So, is he stronger showing up at a bank or showing up in my office and saying, hey, I need some money. I want to get $500,000. I'd like to see you invested in my company. Is he better off doing that, showing up by himself, showing up with himself and a plan, and showing up with a plan, himself, and an organizational chart? Okay? Importance of team. So when I, as an investor, get involved with a deal, what is the first thing I'm looking at?
All the above.
Team. Team. Number one. In fact, I'm going to put up the 3 things that I look at, and I'm going to ask you what order I look at. Team. Market. And then product solution. I've already told you that number 1 is team. What's number 2? Market. Your product or solution is number 3. Why is that? Who can tell me why it's specifically that order as an investor?
Because if there's a bad market, you don't care.
Absolutely. Why do I look at team first?
Because if it's bad.
Any voices and like, yeah, if it's well organized and well run, you don't have to do much of the work. You can just let your money go out there.
It's driving your business.
Not necessarily so. Let's try that again. Why do I look at team first?
Because it helps develop a strategy and business plan.
Okay.
In order to execute.
How good is your business plan after you finish writing it?
And I think we can execute.
Right.
It is useless. Your business plan is outdated as soon as the ink dries on it. So I look to the team. I'm betting on the jockey, not on the horse. Okay? So I'm looking at the team to determine, because I know that the plan is not going to get executed the way that it's been written. There's going to be zigs, there's going to be zags. So I'm evaluating the team. And notice I didn't say the founder. I didn't say the CEO. The team. So as I'm looking at a deal and evaluating whether they're going to put money into the deal, I am evaluating the full team. What am I looking for in the team? Is there leadership? Okay, number 1. Is there leadership? Number 2, I'm looking at skill sets. Do they have the right skill sets? for this particular business? Number 3, have they been successful before? Now, it would be great if they were successful in the business that they are currently involved in. Be great. But generally, I'm looking for success somewhere. If that person has failed in everything that they have done, and they have tremendous experience in real estate, do I care? No. I'm looking for people who have been successful. They can have small successes, they can have large successes, but they have to have success somewhere in that process. So when we start evaluating as investors the business, we are first looking at the team. And the team has to have leadership. I'm looking for the CEO or the leader of that to be able to have a vision. Where am I taking this business? Not just now, but where is it going down the road? Really clear vision of where the business is going. Step by step, calendarized, with an understanding of what resources need to come in, and what's the source of those resources are going to be. So I'm looking for that in the team, leader. That has to be very, very visible. I'm looking down the line to make sure that the skill sets that are needed for success in the business are already there. I know, because I've spent time in real estate, that if you're going to be in the rental business is pretty straightforward, it's pretty easy, except for one piece: property management. So if I look at your background and I don't see property management, I go, okay, so who's your property manager? You don't have a real good answer for me? Gone. And I'm looking for critical skill sets. What else do you need to know in the real estate business? The real estate business you're going into. Finance. Real estate finance. You need to know how to leverage your deals. So if I am in the real estate business, I need to have bank relationships. So if tell me your name again. IK. If IK came into me and was looking to get some money, and he said, hey, I need to, I'm going to go buy these 11 houses. I have a property manager already in place. I'm looking to, I have equity in these other houses I've already done. They're up and going. They're generating a good return. And I have a banking relationship with Comerica Bank, and here's my banker's name. And they're looking for me to make sure that I have a 30% equity into the deal, and they're willing to put up the debt for the rest of this. I'm smiling at that point. He's got a property manager. He's got successful deals in place. He has a relationship with a banker. He's already figured out the ratio of equity and debt that needs to come into the deal. He's demonstrated to me a complete package that is saying to me, I've got a team, I've demonstrated some success, I can be good. You get where we're going at? Okay? We've already solved. You don't need a partner. You need employees at some point. Okay? Who's next? Go.
Yes, so I co-own film production company. We're going to get into distribution, but we're just distributing our own work right now. We make films every month, no employees. We do a lot of free labor and volunteer work to get the productions done. Everything comes out of pocket as far as finances.
Do you have a team?
Outside of the owners, no. I don't have a team in Texas. So
Do you need a team?
I do need a team.
What?
Just to get the product finished, like as far as the actual production of the film.
Let me tell you what I hear when you say that. Okay? I hear I don't have a vision, therefore I don't need a team yet. What you've told me is I'm really starting a small business. And I tell you what happens when somebody tells me they're starting a small business. I say, good luck. I'm gone. There's no vision there. You understand the difference? Okay. So when I start talking to you, or when you try to do a presentation to me, and I didn't hear a team, you told me, okay, I have partners. You didn't tell me anything about the partners. What do? Do they have functional responsibility? What do your partners do? Tell me.
We all do different things. One of my partners is an editor, I am an actor and director, and another partner is an actor director. So we all produce our
Who runs the business?
equally.
Ah, what does that signal to you?
No one's in charge.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Really important. Who's in charge?
Yeah. Is it equal?
It does not work.
It doesn't work.
There has not been a situation, that's why you remember you saw a swath of co-presidents and co-CEOs that existed. It doesn't exist anymore. That model does not work. Somebody's got to be in charge. And in your situation, you told me, hey, my team consists of, I got an editor, I got somebody else doing production, I got somebody else doing distribution. I'm listening at the point. Then I said, well, who's the CEO of the business? And he said, we're all equal partners. Thank you. Okay? Somebody has to be the leader of the team. And if there is no leader, there's not going to be any investment. I would invest into a three-headed monster.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have to determine who's in charge of the business, because it sounds like you have the semblance of a team. You got 3 people involved, and they're doing something that is equally brings something of value to the company, but nobody's in charge. Okay? So I can't engage with you, and nobody else will either. Nobody can make the hard decisions in that company. And right now, what you really have is not a company. It's not even a business. It's a hobby. I hate to be hard, but that's essentially what you got. You got a hobby. You want a business, you got to treat it like a business. Who's next?
So, I own and operate an app and a website that offers features and resources that help potential and current college students understand their future in education.
Okay. Are you by yourself?
No.
All right. Tell me about your team.
My team consists of, I have a creative director. They all go to SMU, creative director. I have a marketing strategist, I have a marketing manager, and a product tester, and a developer, a co-developer.
Who's the boss?
Me.
Okay. You see him hesitate?
No.
He could describe a team. What I heard when I listened to him is he defined a team where there was functional expertise in the critical areas of his business. And it sounds like to me that he made the decision that I'm going to recruit these people because they have that functional expertise. And I'm going to be in charge of that decision and the business going forward. You see the difference between the 2 descriptions in the business? Team is essential. Now, how are you going to bring money into that company?
Right now, primarily it's app downloads. Another source of revenue is ad revenue, and also creating partnerships with school districts and schools individually.
How fast can you grow that business that way?
Potentially quite fast, but
How fast? What will you do in 2021 in revenue?
a projection?
Yes. Okay, you don't know your numbers. Okay. What does that signal to me as an investor? He doesn't have a plan. And again, I'm not trying to be hard on you. I'm just giving you a reaction as an investor when I listen to people who are pitching me. Normally, I would say, here's my team, because I know team is very, very important. I'm playing in a market that is, X hundreds of millions of dollars here, and I have a solution that's differentiated, and I'm going to look for capital, but I'm revenue positive. I'm going to do $1 million this year, and I'm seeking to raise $500,000 to expand the scale. That's what I would expect to hear. That's not what I heard from you. Okay? So let's try that again.
All right. Wait, like...
Now! Actually, quite frankly, tell me your name again.
I'm Sean.
Sean, stand up.
All right.
You're pitching the group.
I'm pitching the group. So like, when you say I'm pitching the group, you got the check.
You're talking. You're on. This group is going to decide whether they're going to put any money in you. You're on.
So I'm pitching my whole product right now.
Yes.
All right, so I'm Sean Subaru.
You're pitching your company, not
My
your
company.
product.
Okay, my company. I'm Sean Subaru. I own College Plus, and College Plus acts as a a platform. We exist both as an app and as a website to provide resources and features to help potential and current college students figure out their futures in education. And I currently have a team of about 5. I have a product tester, a marketing manager, a marketing strategist, a co-developer, and I'm the CEO. I'm the main developer also as well. And this year, our projections for revenue is we plan to get make $1 million, a lot of profit, because I don't know what the correct terminology is, but I broke character, my fault. But anyways, we project to make $1 million, and the market for this, for my product, or my host of products, is a space of about $500 million potential revenue, and a lot of that is profit because we don't have any physical products. We exist as software only, so there's a huge margin for profit as well. And I'm here to ask you investors for an investment of $500,000.
To do what?
To do what? To scale. Since we're a software company, we have to buy server space and storage solutions, and as we grow, the expense ramps up. And also, as well, my partners, we want to see money as well. So
what type of solutions does your company offer to its clients, and how will direct investment benefit that scale, pretty much?
So basically, the majority of that money is immediately going to marketing. The product is.
No, I understand that the marketing brings more attention to your business.
Right.
So now, like, okay, as it's bringing attention, so what type of actual solutions are you? Because you said that it's helping students develop. Like, what type of strategies does the app or whatever have in place that is helping? If I was to tell somebody, okay, you know what, you have this particular issue, so what would you recommend to me? What type of strategies does the app have to help students?
All right, we're getting into the more technical pieces. I wanted him to stop around and spend time around teams. We're going to come back to him. I'm going to give him a chance. And tell you what, we're going to make sure that he gets a chance to ask those questions from you. You did a really good job. What were some of the issues? What were some of the issues that you heard as he was describing his team?
Well, just about the team, or as he was describing?
As he described the business.
Okay, you need to work a little bit on the terminology, you know, revenue, profitability. Sam and Tammy said talk about those kind of things later. So have the terminology down for the audience you're working on. First question popped in my mind is, what's in it for me? As an investor, I want to know what's in it for me. So, I mean, you want to say something like, well, you know, it's a $500 million a year market. In 5 years, we're going to capture 50 million of that. We're going to have profitability at 30%, and I'm going to return to you a third of that if you invest $500K right now. Something elevator speech concise, so I know if I give you $500K and you do well in 50 years, I get that much money, or 5 years.
So I think what you said was we help college students figure something out. The whole time we were talking, I was just wondering, what is it that they're figuring out? I think that may have been in the line of what he was asking, but if you could tell me, I'm not an investor, but if I had some money, you told me what it is that college students are figuring out, I could go back to my current college days right now. I was like, man, I wish I figured that out. Right. That would really make me invest.
Okay, good. You did a great job. All right?
Thank you, Sean.
One of the reasons I'm doing this, and I'm integrating a lot of different things, I'm talking to you as an investor, because at the end of the day, you all need capital. All right, so this is part of the practice of having to ask for for capital and understanding what the investor is hearing. So I heard that he had a team. I heard that the team had functional expertise. Didn't hear whether they were partners or employees, but I did hear that he had a team. Would have been important to understand, are these people just employees, or are these people who have some stickiness to the business? so that they're going to be around come good times, bad times that all businesses go through. It would be nice to know, hey, I have a team, and these guys are my partners, they're shareholders with me, and because when you say they're shareholders, that defines a degree of stickiness in the organization. Yes, sir?
What amount of equity does an employee become a partner or vice versa?
What percentage of equity?
Yeah, I mean, is there really like a rough thing, like what differentiates a partner from an employee? I mean, a lot of employees have started without equity, but they're not necessarily.
They'll have options,
Okay.
okay? The difference to me, a partner actually has equity, a founder's equity, okay? A partner, let me say that again, a partner will usually have founder's equity. An employee may have options in the business. Everybody know the difference? Okay, options versus equity. Anybody want to tackle that?
Okay, founder's equity means basically you were there when they started the company and you've got a percent ownership of that corporation. So you own a percentage of that, you've got a certain number of shares. Options means generally something they grant to an employee. It says at some point in the future, at some price, you can exercise these options and pay to maintain a percentage ownership.
Got it?
They're both good.
They're both good. They're better than not having anything.
Right.
But certainly having founders equity is very, very cool. I've been in both situations. I have been in a situation where I had founders equity in companies I founded. And I have been also involved with other companies that I was part of IGN. Believe it or not, I was able to get into the founders equity round, even though they had founded it, but because I was doing so much work for them for free, they cut me a deal into the founders equity. So I went in on shares that probably were maybe 30 cents. When we took the company public, they were selling for $8. When Sabre bought them, they bought them for 23. It was a good day. Okay? You had a question?
Yeah, I guess is founding equity like akin to like Class A voting shares?
We're not really. Stick around for my finance discussion, and I'll go back through different classes of shares. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a different kind of investor that I'm looking for. I am needing angel funders. And so I understand that I have to still structure my business as a business, but the question is, as far as the team is concerned, so what I've been fortunate enough to do is to be able to have really fantastic advisors, but many of them don't want to work. Like some of them are retired, they're giving me great advice for free, or they are already in really great positions with other companies or organizations. And so, again, I've gotten really good advice, or sort of leading in the right direction. But if I were to go to, at this point, an angel investor, again, most of the folks that I work with, because of what I do, and I'm not an expert in what I do, I'm an expert storyteller. I'm an author and a musician. So the things that I know how to do, I use those things to build my reputation nationally. And I do work with other companies. I just did a series of workshops for AARP. So I'm doing those things that I can develop my brand nationally. But I don't have that, on a day-to-day basis, I don't have that team. Other than those people that are my advisors, would I consider them?
You must have been planting me. So, how do you expand your team when you are a early stage startup? You don't have a lot of money. You don't really see the necessity for bringing on partners to take into the equity spiel. You use advisors. Okay? So, again, somebody comes to me, they have some fantastic, I'll give you an example. Someone comes to me, they have a fantastic piece of medical technology. They've gotten it to the point where they don't need FDA approval. I run a VC fund that's specifically invests in healthcare deals. And they're located in the Texas Medical Center down in Houston, which is the largest medical center in the world, so we see all kinds of deals. Person comes in my office, got this wonderful deal, wonderful piece of technology. They've already manufactured the prototypes. It is a remote monitoring deal. It's the size of a Band-Aid. You put it on your chest, and I can go down the street and you can still monitor my vital signs. Okay? Being used for COVID patients. Wonderful piece of technology. He's developed prototypes. Has a couple of part-time engineers wandering around, but doesn't really have employees. They don't have bulk. But what he did have was one heck of an advisory board. So he brought in an advisory board. This is Dr. So-and-so. This is Dr. So-and-so. Here's an administrator of this hospital. Here's some of the folks that have said that they will write reviews on my product. These are the folks that have said that they're going to purchase my product. Here's who I've been piloted with. Okay? I look at this and I go, wait a second. You got customers who are sitting on your advisory board.
So an advisory board is different from board of directors.
Correct. An advisory board does exactly what the name says. It provides advice. All right? It provides you help in the functional areas of the business. A board of directors has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, whoever the shareholders may be. Okay? Very, very important difference. So in instances where you are looking at how you build your team, you can build your team through partnerships, bringing on partners who will have an equity interest in the business. You can build it by employees that you bring in, or you can build it through advisory. Now, can you build your business forever on advisory board? No. But if you're getting started and you're trying to get skill sets that you can't afford immediately, you can do it with advisors. Yes?
What is the advisor's incentive to help you?
Two things. Well, three things. Ego.
Okay.
Okay? I sit on a lot of advisory boards. I'm sitting on the advisory board of this young company. Okay? Second is, I just want to help. I've been involved in a bunch of businesses and have some skill sets, and I get a kick out of working with young businesses. Third, I may get an equity interest in the deal. Okay? And I've been in all three situations. I've been on the advisory board. In fact, I've been on an advisory board for a company that turned into becoming a member of the board of directors. And that went from, like a couple of shares to now a 3% ownership in a very rapidly growing company. So that's the difference. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. You have employees?
I do.
Tell me about your team.
We have a team. I am the CEO and founder. I have a business partner. I own 55% of the company. He owns 35%. We have 5% reserved for our early employees and our advisory team. The co-founder and I have known each other for 9 years. We used to work together at Boeing Aerospace. The team collectively have 30 years of experience in business development, analytics, IT, and then we've outsourced our development.
Okay. What did you hear?
She has a team, a well-structured team. She has some space for early employees and advisors.
Okay. What else did you hear?
Partners,
She has partners. Okay.
experience, years and years of experience that I can invest in.
Okay. How long has she been around? How many?
30 years.
How many years has she been in business?
We don't know. 7.
Just starting out.
What did you say?
I didn't take one.
Okay. So one of the things you want to hear is, how long has she been in business? How long have you been in business?
A little over a year.
Okay. Sounds like she's gotten a lot accomplished in a year. Do you have any revenue?
We're pre-revenue, pre-product.
Pre-revenue, pre-product. Okay. She's still in the development stage. All right. What else are you hearing?
She outsourced the development, so she realized that that's an area that her and partners are not very strong in, so that's why I outsourced it.
Okay. So she's made some strategic decisions in the business based on the talent that was available and probably funding that was available to her. Okay. What else did you hear?
She's in an area that she's familiar with, so she's got experience in the area, even if the company is young.
What about her partners?
Experience, 30 years of experience.
Okay. Do you see how that pitch will now capture my attention? Because it actually did. We actually had this conversation before. She actually pitched me. Before I knew that I was gonna see her today.
Yes.
This was a pitch, how long ago?
2 months ago.
2 months ago, she pitched me over a telephone call through a third person that we happen to know.
We have gone on to win 2 pitch competitions.
Okay? All right?
But what do you do?
So we are a blockchain-enabled, skills-based recruiting platform focusing on non-traditional student job seekers, where we're building what's called smart portfolios, which will be our IP, which are digitized resumes. So think of the Apple Health app, but for job seekers, where you can house all of your credentials, skills on your digital wallet.
How broad is non-traditional?
So it goes about.
Excuse me, you don't get to sit back there. Come into the table.
So non-traditional expands outside of both students, but also non-traditional workers. But the market that we play in is both the ed tech space and the HR tech space. HR space is $17.5 billion. We are going after 32 million small and medium-sized businesses, focusing on IT and financial industry. And then there's about 6,300 post-secondary schools where we're trying to land our technology.
Do you do engineers?
What do you mean, do we do? Yes.
Okay, so engineers would be related.
Yes, we're focusing from a student standpoint on computer science, data analytics, and finance and accounting. We're actually doing a pilot with SMU, and we also have another school out of West Virginia that will be doing our pilot as well.
Can you fix large corporations' HR departments?
So that's our goal. Our big vision is to become the resume authority. There's no one currently in that space. And so we found a way to differentiate ourselves from our competitors like LinkedIn, Handshake, for those that are students here at SMU.
Thank you.
So you serve all size businesses, not just small and medium?
So our VTech market is we're going after small and medium-sized businesses, and then we'll eventually expand.
Okay. So, what did you hear?
Knowledge.
Knowledge, comfortable in her space, team around her.
She knows her market.
She knows the size of her market. She knows what her product solution is.
Right.
She's got a team.
She has a vision.
She has a vision for the business.
Plan for growth.
Plan for growth. She can answer questions very quickly. Okay? What does that say to a potential investor?
Go. Green light.
What it says is this is somebody I should have a further conversation with because they've gotten the basics together. She can do an elevator pitch. Now, she's been pitching for a while. But she has done her elevator pitch to such a point that she has it down like that.
And we just got down to we're Pepperdine's most fundable companies, because I know that you're an investor. So we are seeking investors.
Do we all live in Pepperdine then?
No, we gotta support.
So, when are you going to be revenue?
So for this year, we plan on going after 4 schools, which will give us, at 4 schools and 100 employers, will give us about 233 in sales. For 2022, we plan on going after, or doubling that and being 3.5 million in revenue. And for any investor that invest, hoping to 2x your return.
Okay. Convertible note or Series A?
Convertible.
Okay. We'll talk some more about that in the finance piece too. All right.
$1,000.
So,
Just to come to our pilot.
Dollars or units, because you said
Dollars, I'm sorry.
okay. So, what you heard in her pitch were the key attributes that attract an investor. And really, part of the things I'm doing all throughout the day, whatever it is, topic I happen to be talking about, I'm talking to you about raising capital. Because every company has to raise capital if you're going to be able to be a scalable company. If you just want to stay within your neighborhood, your block, that's fine. Go talk to Comerica and see if you can borrow some money on assets. But if you want to get investor capital and really build your business, what she just laid out is a prototypical pitch that I would anticipate at minimum to get my attention. Okay? Who's next?
Okay. Briefly.
And we're going to switch to boards after this.
Okay, formed the company a year ago. Primary purpose of the company is to win funded R&D contracts from the Department of Defense. So a little bit different model. Growth will come through basically equity-free money from the Department of Defense. We're leveraging research out of SMU to do that through small business-related research. We've got a again, there's two of us that started a company. We've got one employee, and then we've got a team of researchers here, which they will benefit when we get contracts. Today, we're bidding a proposal. It's about $100K. It's our second one. We hope to get about $1 million before the end of the year in terms of contracts, and then start product development and grow it from there. Our long-term vision is to partner with one of the big guys or two of the big guys and be a supplier to them. There's just a lot of reasons in that market space that we don't want to go take on a Raytheon or Northrop Grumman or something. We feel like we can add value with that.
What did you hear?
Government funded, yeah, just like, it has not only the free labor, that's definitely what I heard the researchers.
Can hear you.
The free labor, like the amount of research that they possibly use and how that can actually impact the business, and then also like in the market, how they're trying to go after Raytheon, they're not trying to take over the business, they just want to find their space in it, and then like, I don't want to say, what was that word you used, like versus destroy or like disrupt, yeah, they don't want to disrupt it, but they do want to get into there.
Okay. Does he have a team?
I'm sorry, I think I missed it. What is your product or service?
It's a product. Basically, we're taking the commercial DMD, the cinema projector technology out of Texas Instruments, and modifying it for use by the Department of Defense. And we've got about 6 primary applications. Department of Defense, military, for the U.S. only. And we've got about 6 application areas that we're working on associated with that. We've got a prototype up and running. Basic science has been proven. Some people are really good at modeling and simulation.
Can you tell us any of the application areas?
Sure. The one we're bidding right now is an infrared scene projector. They use it to test systems indoors, so they don't have to go flying around on airplanes. You put them on ships or up in outer space, that type of thing. Laser beam steering is another one of the applications. A little bit longer term, we're hoping to get this into 3D printing. One of the real benefits of it is it's a pretty broad applicable engine that you can put inside a 3D printer because you can use various energy sources and polymers and those types of things.
So cross industry, so both aerospace,
Aerospace.
manufacturing, supply chain.
So what I'm hearing is, this guy's playing in billions of dollars market. I mean, huge, huge market. But major, major opportunity. Is this slide thing working? Okay. I'm going to switch the boards here in a moment. So you hear that he's got a team, playing in a really big market, has a defined product solution he's going after. He has some guns in a knife fight. He's getting some technology. He has relationships with his major potential customer. He has relationships with his potential exit strategy.
Scalable.
All right, it's scalable. What's not to like? At least on first pass. Okay? You get that? Feeling that? Okay. We got about 25 minutes left, so I want to spend some time on boards. We've talked about team, so I want to talk about boards now. Who can tell me why you have a board?
I mean, just a system process, so you can make sure things happen consistently. Like some business, like marketing, and you just have somebody to like blame at the end of the day. Like something doesn't go right.
I heard governance.
Yeah, governance doesn't put it. Yeah.
Governance?
I mean, is it governance and accountability to the shareholders?
Accountability to shareholders? Okay, what else?
A concession made to get people's money.
Concessions made to get other people's money?
Development of strategy.
Strategy development?
Exposure for customers.
Exposure to customers and vendors? Okay, what else? Expertise? Oh, where were you earlier today? Okay, expertise? Say again?
They have an overall fiduciary responsibility to make sure that.
That's a big word. What does fiduciary responsibility mean?
Well, they make sure that the company is operating, I guess from benefit to make sure that they meet whatever their promises and their responsibilities they make to investors and making sure that, yeah.
To oversee management.
All of the things that you said are one of the reasons you have. Legally, you're required to have a board. okay? If you're gonna set up a corporation, you gotta have a board, because somebody's gotta be responsible for the entity, okay? Usually when you first start an LLC or corporation, you'll have a small board, maybe 1 or 2 people when you first get started. You really don't want to have a whole lot of people on your board initially, because boards take time to manage. Okay, so if I'm sitting on the board, I'm expecting before the board a board package. I'm expecting after the board that you're going to follow up on the questions and issues that I've raised. If you're trying to run a quote-unquote small startup company, you don't have time for all that. Right? So you want to limit the size of your board initially, and maybe just you and your partners initially, until you decide you need skill sets, you need access to capital, you need other things that you need to bring into the organization. So who sits on a board?
Could be the leadership of the company.
Well, that'd be an internal board, yeah.
External stakeholders.
External stakeholders, shareholders. So the board's role is fiduciary responsibility, a duty of care and a duty of loyalty. Okay, you have a responsibility to that company to provide good governance, accountability, and advice and strategy to the organization. All right. And by the way, these slides are all available to you guys, so if, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time taking notes, you can skip that. Take a look at this board. This is a good board?
No.
For who?
This is a health-related company.
Looks like Raytheon's.
First thing that pops up on the screen, it seems like majority of them come from military service backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so, diversity.
They're all.
By the way, this is a real board.
Lack of diversity
Looks for some kind of government.
And you've got some powerful people.
there. You do.
Bill Perry, Sam.
There's no women.
George Schultz.
I see a lot of.
And by the way, the CEO is a woman. This is her board. Is this a good board?
No,
Why is it not a good board?
it lacks diversity and skill set.
Okay, it lacks diversity and skill set. What else?
Nobody's, it seems like only one person.
They may be a little bit too busy to give you the kind of attention you need.
Do they have the time to give you?
It depends on which healthcare market you're going after, though. If you're going after the VA in those areas, it's not bad.
What's the structure of the board? Who's at the top? Who's making the final decisions?
At one point, George Schultz was the chairman of this board.
It's all depends on what the
But is that
business, what the
former
company is.
though?
Yeah.
They might be retired.
What are they, what are they governing?
They're governing a health-related business. Yes?
Do you necessarily need the same kind of diversity of skill set you have in a leadership team and board? I mean, you wouldn't need as much like diversity of skill, or would you?
No, but you need to have people that understand how to grow a business, okay? How to fund a business. By the way, does anybody figure out which company this is? It's a very famous company.
Edna?
No. How many of you
Pfizer?
how many of you have seen or read the book Bad Blood? You know what company this is?
What's it? Is it Theros?
Theros.
Ooh.
This is the board of directors for Theros.
Ouch.
Okay? Everybody know what Theros is?
No.
They were the company that had supposedly revolutionized lab testing. And it turned out to be a fraud. Can you imagine? You got all of these people on your board, and what you have done is committed a major fraud across multiple people, collecting billions of dollars. This was their board. Okay?
Where were they?
They attended the board meeting. They had shares. They were blinded by a really fast-talking CEO. She is fast. By the way, she still has not gone to jail.
Oh, yeah.
All right? She has not gone to jail yet.
She lost the decision.
What makes it a good board? 4 W's. Wisdom, work, wealth, and wallet. That's what makes up a really good board. You're looking for people that have wisdom, they've been around, they know how to run a business. They've been successful in that industry or just in general. Work. They're willing to get into the nitty-gritty with you, really review your budget, really help you look at your planning. They're willing to do the work of getting through their Rolodex. And by the way, I keep on using that term, Rolodex. Anybody remember what a Rolodex is? They get into that network and they make the calls that they need for the business. Wealth. Somebody that's connected, you know, that can bring dollars to the table. And then wallet. The person that when you say, hey, so-and-so's on my board, people go, wow. You know, you got the really star person on your board. So those are the 4 elements that you want to recruit around. When you look at the number of members, usually start with 2, maybe. Try to get to an odd number, no more than 10. You're looking for diversity, as you guys were mentioning. That other board didn't have any diversity. Well, you can get all these slides. So you can take your time and write it. Understands your market. Have a strong network of trusted contacts. Experience with startups, and with either through themselves or having served on other boards. They can get into the mix. They're not sitting down there passively waiting for all those in favor say aye. They're asking hard questions. One of the reasons I get recruited to a lot of boards is people will tell you, I ask the hard questions. And I'm not ashamed to ask hard questions. Some of them have challenged the management team. Some have ended up in the management team being let go. But I ask the hard questions for the benefit of our shareholders. You have to do that, and you have to keep the organization accountable. Okay. Other types of boards. There are boards of observers. All right. So in very many instances where I'm invested in an organization, I can't get on the board because the board's full. So I become an observer. That gives me the opportunity to see what's happening at the board level, see all the presentations, but not necessarily vote. So as an investor, I want to at least have that privilege. And you want to provide that privilege because you may have, statutorily, you may say, I can only have 5 board members. But you know what? This young man here has some expertise in my space. I'd like him to come on board. I'd like people to hear his voice. Okay? Advisory board. We've talked about the advisory board. How you use an advisory board. An advisory board doesn't have any limit on how many members you can have on it. You have to think about how you want to use your advisory board. I've sat on advisory boards that have never met, which is perfect. I've been on other advisory boards where I have met. What we are as an advisory board is a place for the management team to turn to get advice. To get, I may get a telephone call saying from a company here that I'm involved in called Canaries. I may get a telephone call from Mandy that says, hey, I'm trying to deal with this media issue. Can you help me think through this? And I'm spending an hour on the phone walking through that, leveraging some of my contacts to help her get across that finish line. If you're involved in a science area, you might have scientific advisory boards. Or you may have particular advisory boards for specific services that you need. Okay? So there may be, if you're in the medical space, you may have a medical advisory board. You may have a scientific advisory board. You can have any kind of advisory board that you want, but just remember, as many people as you bring around you, they have to be fed and cared for. Because it takes time. So you have to make sure that you have built into your schedule or process how you're going to take care of the advisors. And what's in it for them. Let's talk a little bit about how you run a board meeting. Because there's a science to board meetings. How often should you have a board meeting? Once a quarter. Is that about right?
I think it depends.
It depends. What does it depend on?
On what's needed, how much information there is, going back and forth, are there active committees?
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, right answer. Reason? Because not every business is the same. There are some boards that I'm involved in where I'm meeting once a month. I've had board meetings where I've met once a week. Company's in trouble, the board is meeting once a week. Okay? Most of the work in the board is getting done by committees. If all the work is being done in the board meeting, something's wrong. The working first couple of minutes of your board meeting after the intro is spent on reporting out the KPIs. Okay? Key Performance Index, indices. Okay? KPIs. What are the drivers of the business and how are you performing against those drivers? So very, very clearly you can understand what's happening in the business. That's important for the directors to understand, whether it's sales, whatever opportunities are happening, maybe it's onboarded some new people into the organization. Then there's a strategic discussion, all right? What's that discussion about? Well, what are the key things that have to happen in business? Are you doing a fundraise? Are you deciding to add more properties to the portfolio? Are you looking to expand into doing animation versus doing just straight filming of live production? Those are the strategic discussions, and that's where you spend the bulk of your time in a board meeting. It's not on the how they do and how's your family and all that other stuff. That's a waste of your director's time. You can do that afterwards if they have time. So you're presenting a key issue, the committees are making recommendations, and you're trying to get that down to one to three topics. You're not a laundry list. I've seen very often I get into a board meeting, there's 10 things on the agenda. You can't have a 10-thing discussion. Discussions will be too quickly. You won't get into the depth. You won't utilize your directors well. And then finally, any housekeeping items. Prior minutes, votes that need to be captured in the minutes, setting your next meeting, saying how's your family doing, what issues that you're addressing. These are where you do just the housekeeping items. So if you think at 3 major areas in your board meeting, and you'll be well suited. Okay? Questions about that? I know I'm going through rather quickly. You'll have all of this for you to refresh you. Questions, thoughts? How many of you have been in a board meeting? Okay? What has been your disappointment in a board meeting?
Depth.
Depth?
Taking too long to do reports.
Okay.
Unorganized.
Okay, who else?
Unorganized.
Unorganized. What was unorganized?
The topics, I mean, we would always bring up things that we wanted to present, like what films we wanted to do, and it would just be like too many topics. We would waste like almost 2 or 3 hours just talking and hashing out ideas on how to make that different places.
Okay. Couple things that you could do behind the scenes. Start on time. Make sure that you have a packet ahead of time. Make sure that there's something that the director needs to know that's in the board packet. And how soon should the board packet go out before the board meeting? At least a week. Okay? So you understand why that this is a managed process. It's not something you can say, oh, I'm just going to, the board meeting's tomorrow, let me put together a couple of papers and staple it together and send it out. That will turn off your board members and you will have good board members. Anybody who's putting up with that is basically there just to collect a check or whatever. Robert's Rules of Order. You know them? Some?
Yeah.
How do they apply to board meetings?
That's how you run
It just keeps us confused.
That's how you run a meeting. If you're not familiar with Robert's Rules, get familiar. You'll see a lot of YouTube videos that tell you how to run a meeting using Robert's Rules. Okay? Make sure that you, during the course of your meeting, you're going to have people who are your champions and people who are your distractors. Who do you call on first?
The champions.
Okay? Why?
They set the time.
Okay?
And hopefully we'll run out of time for that segment. Right.
So, one of the things that a director wants to feel good about is that you hear them. So you got to make sure that you give them enough airtime. And that once you've heard them, you're actually doing what they're suggesting, or at least considering it. If you're not, you're not gonna have them around for a while. And one of the other things I ask people to do, particularly in this era where we're recording everything on Zoom and everything, watch the board meeting afterwards. See what signals you get from that board meeting. Who's really nodding, who's like, not feeling good about what you're saying, or checked out. And this is something else that I like to emphasize. The board meeting actually happens before the board meeting. What's meant by that? You said yes. What do I mean by that?
A lot of times decisions are already kind of pre-thought out, pre-made, people come with their positions, mistakes are already made. So the board meeting is more of a formality to vote and hear the quiet ones.
Okay. So a good CEO works their board before the board meeting, which means a couple weeks out, they're talking to the members of their board about the key issues and getting a sense of where that person thinks about the key issues. I'm going to go into animation. I'm going from live production, I'm going to span into animation. You've had the conversation with your board members ahead of time. You know, for instance, that he's feeling really that it's too soon for you to make that decision. Okay, you've had that conversation. You understand where they're coming from. You've incorporated that in your discussion. So maybe when you present it to the board, you say, this is the strategic direction that we want to go in. We're not going to do it wholeheartedly right now. We're going to pilot it and work our way into it. But we're still going forward. If the pilot is successful, we're full blown in. I've heard his concern. I've responded to it.
Before he asks the question.
Before he asks the question. So really the board meeting actually happens before the board meeting because two things need to happen. One, your committee should have done the work on their specific areas before they got to the board meeting. And number two, we should be in a position that you have worked the board members so that you know where they're coming from and you know what the issues are, so that by the time you get to the board meeting, you can frame the concerns of all the board members into your presentation and address those. Okay? Are you cutting me off now?
No, you got 5 more minutes.
Oh, okay. So, here are a couple of, and again, I promised I would make this available to folks, so you'll help me figure out how to do that. Okay. There's a couple of really good books on boards that I recommend to you. Startup Boards is a really good, The Founder's Dilemma is excellent. Okay? So good tools. Now, let's take a minute and just say, when is it appropriate for you to form a board? A real board that goes beyond you.
Do you do that at the very beginning?
You form a board, you have to have a board when you set up your entity.
Yeah.
Your entity, your LLC or your corporation. So you got a board, it's you.
Yeah.
When do we go beyond you?
I don't know.
Okay, somebody want to answer that? Yes?
When you need an increase of like skill set or advisors, or you want to take the next step.
Okay, maybe. I can get an advisory board. Why do I need an increase in fiduciary responsibility? Why do I need to have another fiduciary with me?
You got outside investors.
You got outside investors. That's usually a sign that you're going to bring on some other people. Now, it may be also when you bring on partners. Okay, so you're working your business, you're by yourself. I decide, you're going to bring me on to join and I'm putting money into the deal, or I'm going to be your partner, I'm putting sweat equity in. I may become a member of the board. I'm going to help make decisions for the company going forward. All right? Yes?
Does a change in corporation type affect the board?
It doesn't have to. So you could go from an LLC to a corporation. An LLC, you have a group of managers that manage the business, that's your board. And into a corporation where you'll have directors. All right? So change in nomenclature, very little change in responsibility. What else about boards?
I've had some people say to me to be careful that you may not need a board other than outside of advisors. And these are good people who've served on boards for lots of years, because they were talking to me about how sometimes people are not vested who are on the board, and that sometimes it takes so much to get a simple decision made So things can be, should be done on a more timely basis, just depending upon the availability of the people who are on the board. So I want to get your feedback on that.
Well, first of all, how long is a board term?
Depends.
It's a term.
How long is a board term?
1 to 3 years.
For life? Whoa! What kind of boards you been hanging with?
I don't know, I'm just.
All right, so board terms are set in your shareholders agreement, okay? Or the operating agreement of your organization. They could be a year, they could be 2 years. It's usually done by your shareholders to elect your board. Now, if you have all the stock, you just elect your board. If you have other shareholders, they have a right to select board. So if you have funders that come in, you may have funders who have a right to appoint 2 members of a 5-person board. Okay? Yes?
So it's based on a percentage. You get 51%, you can assign the whole board, not half.
Sometimes. Sometimes, because there's tricks in that. I can have 10% of the board, but I'm going to appoint 90% of it. I can have 10% of the shares and I can appoint 90% of the board members. As Zuckerberg. Okay? Because he has a class of shares that controls the board. And that's how he made sure that he would never be fired.
Didn't want to get Steve Jobs.
That's a good example. Other questions about boards, and I know I ran through this piece rather quickly, but I thought we had a lot more fun with Tim. Yes.
How can someone from your board come, I've read an article about power, kind of power distribution on the board. How can a board member come over and kind of have, similar to like Zuckerberg, have more power than maybe the owners? How do they get in and kind of finagle?
Depends on who they represent. So for instance, I've been on a board where there's a founder, and I'm on the board, I'm representing money. So my private equity funds put money into the deal. And he wants to take a certain act, and I get together with the other directors who also are representing money, and we go, we don't think so. We don't think that's a really good idea. Now, he has a bunch of shares, but we have close to the same amount of shares, and he's going to have to raise more money to execute his idea. What happens if we share